Hi, welcome to Quietly Marketing. Taping from Seattle, Washington this week. Attending SMX Advanced, kind of an SEO PPC Super Bowl for us digital marketers. And today's episode is marketing like the Disney Vault and the McRib. Two things that you might think have nothing in common, but in fact the tactics and why both those things are successful are very, very similar. So that's what we're going to get into today. Today's episode is actually inspired by the fact that I have a daughter myself, and currently getting into movies a little bit, getting into the Pixar movies for sure, and wanting to expose her into some of these movies. And of course, as we all know, because of the Disney Vault, not all these old animated movies that we liked as children are available anymore. And Netflix recently had a deal where they will actually have a lot of these Disney movies available. So that just got me thinking about the Disney Vault, something I haven't really thought about in a while because I had no reason to buy them, so it didn't really bother me too much. But the Disney Vault, let's start with there. Everyone knows what the Disney Vault is. It's essentially, well, growing up, I always wondered what it was and assumed it was something along the lines of an actual vault in the shape of Mickey's ears that housed all of my favorite animated movies. Now, I'm taking a guess that it's actually not really a vault, although that would have been cool. I really wish in some ways that there actually was an actual vault. Tell me if there is. The premise behind the Disney Vault actually started all the way back in the 40s. When a few years prior, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first full feature-length movie by Disney, was released. And a few years later, with a new generation of children ready to enjoy this movie, they released it into the movie theaters back in the 40s. And they started doing this every so often for the very same reason that the Disney Vault today does it, which is every few years, a new generation of children. And although adults, as adults, we like these animated movies, myself included, they were primarily originally made just for children. And so it would make sense that you would re-release them into theaters. And they actually was very, very successful. A lot more successful than when movies you see now are released as 25th anniversary editions or the conversion to 3D. Those don't really do that well in the movie theaters. But re-releasing children's movies back then did very, very well. And that's because these movies are made for a very specific target market of younger children, and they're ready to go see those movies. So by re-releasing them, they did really well. And they actually took this to another level when VHSs and then now DVDs became popular. By making this Disney Vault, whereby they would make movies not available, certain animated movies not available, and only available at certain amount of times throughout, every few years they would re-release them, and you could buy them, but it was only for a limited time, sometimes just weeks, if not just a month, where you could buy those movies. And then if you didn't buy them during the time, it went back into the Disney Vault, where you couldn't buy them. And it was, it was a pretty big deal when it came out, and they do a lot of advertising around it. Like, coming out of the Disney Vault this year is, Cinderella, 101 Dalmatians, and you have to buy it then. And this was very, very successful because it created a lot of demand for these movies and a lot of almost panic, because if you wanted to buy these movies, even if you were on the fence, you would make sure that you bought them because you figured, hey, if I really like 101 Dalmatians, want to show it to my children, I better buy it now, otherwise we don't know when it's going to be available. They would never release the schedule ahead of time of when they become available again. So this taps into the overriding theme of my episode today, which is the tactic of scarcity in marketing. By creating this scarcity around these DVDs, around these VHSs, people would buy even when they probably wouldn't have bought otherwise. Now, if these movies were available on a consistent basis, they probably wouldn't sell as well because people wouldn't be in a panic to go buy them, because they would be like, well, they're always available, just like we don't buy DVDs, we can always rent them if necessary. By only releasing them at certain times, people felt compelled and the need to buy the movies. So it had the scarcity and actually created a lot of excitement too by promoting this. It's coming out of the Disney Vault by having a name behind it, and especially in the eyes of kids, myself included, an actual vault. Like, hey, we have to go buy it now. We have to go buy it, otherwise we're gonna miss out. And that's why it was so successful. It's using scarcity, it's using excitement, and then on to the next theme, which is exclusivity. If you own this DVD when somebody else doesn't, you have a little bit of power. You have a little bit of, hey, I got this movie and you don't, kind of thing going on. So this leads me into the other thing, which is the McRib. Now, You might not realize this, but when the McRib was released back in 1981, it was not that popular. That seems crazy because all we see now is all these things talking about how the McRib is coming back, how exciting. You go onto social media, people are way over the top excited about it. What's considered a pretty nasty sandwich when you think about it. It barely tastes like ribs. It's because it's not ribs. It's just rib meat, but this is not a rip on McDonald's. But there's so much excitement around it, you assume it's always been popular. Not the case. Back in the 80s when it was released, it was a standard menu item that you could buy, and it wasn't the exclusive deal that you see now. It was just something that was released into the McDonald's, and you could buy it whenever you wanted. Because of such low demand for the rib sandwich, a few years after that, it was actually removed 4 years later in 1985. Now, what's interesting was as soon as it was taken off the market, there was actually quite a bit of uproar is not quite the right word, it wasn't that much, but there was enough talk that people were upset that the McRib was taken off of the menu, and they wanted to bring it back. Now, this wasn't everyone, this wasn't this a huge, across the board in America, everyone was upset, but there was enough talk to bring it back. So, McDonald's decided to try and bring it back on a limited run basis a few years later. And in certain markets, Texas I believe was one, this created a lot of excitement that the McRib was coming back. And instead of keeping it as a regular item on the menu, McDonald's was realizing that the way this sandwich was going to be successful, something that wasn't successful when it was a regular piece of the menu, was to make it only available in certain cities at certain times, not even on a yearly basis, just at random times, similar to the TheDisneyVault. And what this did was it created a cult following around McRibs. Even to this day, people have web pages dedicated solely to the McRib and how much they love it. Look at the ridiculous amount of excitement people get on social media when it comes out. Oh my God, the McRib's coming back. There's even a McRib locator. This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know the traffic behind it, but people go to this website to see when the McRib is going to come out. And once they do, they post like crazy on social media. They put it everywhere that they have the McRib and how excited they are. How does this relate to the Disney Vault? It's creating the exact type of demand that Disney movies do when they come out of the vault. You have people get excited because it's not readily available, and they think because it's out, they have to go try it. And then think of the people who have never had a McRib. They're like, well, maybe I should try it. There's so much excitement around. I might as well buy it once. Certain people seem to really like it, but I think it's more of the idea of the McRib being not as available that people buy into it so much. So, how is this related to the Disney Vault? Once again, it's creating excitement. It's exciting when it comes out. McDonald's makes a really big deal about it. It's creating exclusivity. When people have it in their city and it's not somebody else, people like putting it on social media to create this buzz that they have it and they don't. People love that. People love exclusivity. People like something that they have that other people do not. It's like they're part of a club. So if McRib is released in your state and not somebody else's, you want to make a big deal about that. People love that. And to this day, that's still how the McRib is done. I believe, and so does McDonald's obviously, that if they released it as a regular menu item, it would not be successful. But by creating this excitement around it, they've created a product that can actually last. So this is the same reason why limited runs on luxury cars, certain like limited editions of luxury cars are so successful. There's excitement just around the fact that it's a unique car, but it's that exclusivity as well of people who buy this car who want to show off that they have it, through going on social media saying they have it, just telling their friends. Word of mouth's a big thing. I have this and you do not. They could easily, some of these luxury cars you could put on the market, and there's enough people who have enough money who would buy them. But by making it exclusive, they can charge even more money, and they can create more buzz for their product by making it exclusive. So, what does this all mean? Well, how can you relate this to your own marketing? It's about tapping into certain types of emotions and feelings that people have. That's how you're going to make products really, really successful. Products or service that you do. 1, create excitement, as much excitement as you can around a certain product, okay? Now, I find the best way, looking at our examples today, is to create something that's exclusive, something that's limited, something that's not as easy to get a hold of, invite-only events, invite-only webinars, limited time availability, limited number of a certain thing, and then it's not available again for a few years. If you can kind of tap into these as emotions and allow people to do your own marketing for you, because if you can create something that's exclusive where people want to show off that they have it that other people don't, the social sharing around that is enormous. The word of mouth around that is enormous. So that's what I love about the Disney Vault. That's what I like about McRib. It's what I like about limited edition runs on certain things, is it's tapping into emotions. And if you ever really want to sell something to people, you have to tap into emotions. And exclusivity and excitement are two of the strongest emotions that you can have. I know exclusivity isn't more of an emotion, it's more of the bragging behind it. That's what I get to. So, thank you for tuning in today from Seattle, Washington, and I will talk to you again next week.